All right, we are live at the Dads Who Lead podcast with Tim Rhode. Tim retired at 40, but his real true work started after that and what he's contributed to the world and to the space. He has created a charity organization called One Life Fully Lived that help people do just that, make the most of the life that they have in front of them. He has authored 3 books. Or been part of authoring 3 books: One Life Roadmap, The Tribe of Millionaires, and The Quitter's Manifesto. He's also a co-founder of GoBundance, and the project that he's most excited about is the ultimate project of the Rhode family legacy. And that is, he's going to drop into that a little bit later, but what his family is going to look like 3 generations from now, 4 generations from now. So Tim, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Thomas. Boy, I hear all that and go, whoa, that must be some individual.
Right on. So your journey started, what I wanted to open with, I like to dig into, because this is such a connection between parents and their kids, as well as your relationship with yourself. When you were a young kid, how did that shape who you were and the direction that you took your life after, your school age years?
That's a really good question. It's kind of like my childhood had 2, it was kind of like BC and AD. The AD was after divorce. My parents split up when I was summer of 7th grade. And before that, I was a straight A student, A's and B's, let's say. My dad was a math teacher, elementary school math teacher, and he had dreams of me going to college. And I thought I was going to be a civil engineer. That's what he told me, which is the funniest thing ever, because I'm just barely graduated high school, never went to college. And I was a part-time grocery clerk, painting addresses on people's curbs to buy diapers for my 2 small kids. So kind of like after the parents split up, I kind of went off, to be honest. It was the 70s. And my mom was in Oakland. My dad was in Portola, and barely graduated high school. And I would probably have been least likely to succeed in any class. And so got off to a rough start, Thomas, but I turned the ship around.
Nice. So how did that impact you, having your parents split up in 7th grade? It sounds like you were complying within the school system, doing well, performing, and then things changed, which ultimately sounds like it led to something bigger. But how did that impact you at the time, being in that space in 7th, 8th grade?
Well, first of all, my dad was a math teacher, so I knew my times tables. I knew add, supply, subtract, and multiply. Whatever, division, whatever. And I also was really good at reading, language, all the basics. I really got all that down. But as soon as my parents split up, it was kind of like my mind said, yeah, I don't think I need all of this. Why am I learning the periodic tables? Why do I need to learn calculus, just stuff that my first of all, my mind wasn't that deep, which is the civil engineer part was a joke, because that I just was not that deep and never have been, really, to be honest. So I think my parents splitting up kind of did 2 things. Number one, it made it so I had to lean on myself. My mom wasn't around. My dad was depressed. So I got a lot of time just figuring stuff out myself. And 2, I think I made a lot of dumb, wrong choices that just didn't serve me well. And it's funny is while I was going through it, I could tell, why are you being like this? This is not how you were grown up. This is
Yeah.
not who you're supposed to be. And I could feel it, but I just couldn't put the two together yet, I think. So let me just say, then I had my son at like 22, 23. And I know you were a young father in this podcast. Oh, sick of this.
Phone ringing, the landline.
It won't even turn off. And that's just the only reason I have that for is the facts. But anyway, as soon as my son was born, it was like, all right, it is no longer about you. It's time to be a man. And I could, get away with a lot of stupid choices. And then as soon as my son came, it was like, it's time to knuckle down. You're going to be a father. You're going to take care of yourself and your family and go from there. So that really kind of righted the ship, if you will, in my early 20s. So it's kind of like 0 to 12, just being a kid. 12 to 22, holy, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. And then I think I just came home to who I always have been and who my parents taught me to be.
Yeah.
So what's funny is all you dads out there with kids who have their ups and downs and are struggling, this just shows you, be patient, be loving, care about them, but help your kids, let the game come to them. And that's what happened for me is I finally found my niche, which was selling real estate at like 25 years old. I put the key in the lock, and for the first time, the key fit and was like, holy moly, it is on. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that next phase of your journey was 22 to 40, when it sounds like you retired. We'll call it season three of Tim's life.
I like it. Let's do this. Incarnation number 3. You know what I mean? The first one was a kid. Then it was a kind of I'll be honest, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It was the 70s. And then it was being a dad. And then it was kind of the next incarnation was finding my career path,
Yeah. So it sounds like you're able to find that connection with real estate, which is a competitive market, and you're able to gain traction in there and have success. What qualities did you have or did you foster that helped you accelerate your growth in that season?
I think it started was a work ethic. Even before I got into real estate as a grocery clerk, I had a strong work ethic. I'd wake up every single day and never missed a day of work and just loved coming through as a grocery clerk, stocking shelves. They called me the whammer jammer. So I, get in, kick butt, do it right, and get it done was kind of like my mantra. And then I took that same mindset into real estate. In my mind, I still worked for the man, if you will. And in the grocery business, they talked about delivering sunshine service. So when I sold real estate, in my mind, I still worked. It was kind of funny because I kind of had a boss inside my head who told me, get on the phones, do this, do that. And I'd have this argument, the scared kid versus the, you got to get in and do this and you got to blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And the conversation was not, how was I? It didn't serve me well because it wasn't done in a tactful manner, if you will. But I did have the, the stick-to-itiveness in the real estate to just list and sell homes. I didn't want to do a side hustle, nothing like that. It was just focus on what's coming in, what's going out, and what's left to invest was kind of like the thing that I was focusing on.
Yeah. So you're able to really say what's serving me, what's not, be objective, be a scientist, it sounds like, and moving things along and not being emotionally attached to outcomes.
Yeah, that and I said I barely graduated high school. I never went to college, but as soon as I got into real estate, I realized the value of higher education. And what I mean by that was listening to, I guess there wasn't podcasts, come to think of it, but there were mentors and gurus and Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Wayne Dyer. These are some of you probably may not even know some of these names, but the forebearers. So I'd go to their programs, and I once spent for my wife and I 10 grand each to go through Tony Robbins' Life Mastery.
Wow.
And if there was any kind of like, what's the next thing I can do to learn all about selling real estate, about investing, about sales, I did everything I could do to just get my hands on things outside of my town that would kind of give me an unfair advantage of all the other people, and made me at the top of my trade. I wanted to stick out over the competition, and I did that.
I love that. And there's so many cool things to drop into, but you mentioned unfair advantage. And in school, I was a teacher for 7 years. Everything was like, well, what would be fair? What would be fair for all the students, or all the, and in the game of life, where can I create an environment where I'm in an unfair advantage? Talk about that. Oh, you got muted. There you go.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, I was saying, in school, there's a lot of times where we discuss making sure that everything's fair, but it seems often in the game of life, our greatest successes occur when we're able to create an environment where there is an unfair advantage for us. So did you ever face any resistance in creating that unfair advantage within your peers or within your heart?
You know, it's funny because you talk about this quote unfair advantage. You wanted to make sure that there was a level playing field, you know, for the students. And I get that. And you want to make sure everybody has the same tools to learn from. But I equate that to when I was a grocery clerk. And, for 8 hours a day, I walked into that store, and in my mind, I was getting an 8-hour workout, especially throwing freight. I wanted to throw more freight than anybody. But the union rep came up to me and said, dude, you're making us look bad. You need to slow down. This is not good. And I said, you know what? I'm here for 8 hours and this is my workout. I never want to hear this conversation again. I'm going to go at my pace. It's the way it goes. So that's who I was. That's just the innate nature that I always brought to every single thing I did, whether it was a grocery clerk, which, by the way, I soon realized two things. Number one, I can't get ahead when everybody's in this place. And number two, I saw the people who had been there for a while, and you may have seen this as a teacher, like somebody would say, hey, I got a parent teacher conference Tuesday at 2 p.m. Can you make sure you schedule me off? They'd freaking have the person working. They didn't value the employees. They treated them like cattle, kind of like, and I didn't like that. And I saw I can't work under this circumstance. So when I got into real estate, it was like, it is on. This is all about how hard, what I bring to the table and how much value I can bring to others. And so I kind of took that and ran with it, Thomas.
I love it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it comes down to adding value. How can you best add value to others?
Yeah. And even further than that, how can I come through? How can I listen? And for me, I was mostly a listing agent. So I'd sit down, shut up, ask a lot of questions, take notes, and then come up with a game plan for how I could come through for them. And I was a fierce advocate for my clients.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. So you were able to break through, reach financial freedom by age 40, and you retired from real estate at that time. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I went from, when I started in real estate, I had a couple properties because I had a single family home and a triple wide mobile home that I was living in, and a house that I rented out. So then when I got into real estate, I kept on that path of just, I said, see what's going in, see what's coming out, per month, and then see what's left over to invest. And early on, I started buying extra single families, duplexes, fourplexes, land in the path of growth. So at 25, I probably had 2 properties. At 40, I had I'm trying to think of the time frame. I probably had like 12 properties. And in GoBundance, we talk about being 100%er. That's where your passive income or your horizontal income equals what it costs you to live. So 100% of what it was costing me to live, which was probably 5,000, 7,000 a month, was being paid through my rentals and stuff. So I said, 40 years old, I'm on a vacation, I'm in Belize and I'm scuba diving. And I started thinking about, I'm so proud of you. You came from nowhere and here you are, you're a millionaire at 40. Now, what do you want to do in this? Remember, I talked about the conversation in my head. It was like, now what do you want to do? I never want to list another home again. It was like, whoa, mind blown. Well, what are you going to do? I said, well, you just flipped a home and you made $35,000 off that. What if you just invest? What if you never work for another client and you only work for you going forward? And so I kind of went, I like this. Tell me more, in my mind. Yeah. And so on the plane home, I wrote out a plan it was called Tim is Now an Investor Plan. And I talked about Tony Robbins. He has something called OPA, Outcome Purpose Action Plan. I wrote a OPA plan. What's the outcome? Tim goes free. He only works for himself. What's the purpose? Boy, was the purpose long. I probably had 15 reasons why I want to move forward with this.
Yeah.
And then what's the action plan? I'm going to find, let's say, 5 homes for me to flip a year. Where will you find the deals? Where will you find the money? Who's going to help you with this? I wrote this all out. And then on Monday, I whooped out that plan, told my team, we are not working for any more sellers except for me. and I kind of got rid of half my team.
Wow.
And just went into that mode moving forward. So
that's cool. That's fantastic. So you had it. It was just it sounds like it was just a switch, being somewhere where you felt really free, being your best self, and being in nature. It gave you a clear vision.
Yeah. And what's fascinating is before that trip, I had no idea that was going to happen. I had no idea I'm going to, go down there and formulate a plan and come back with this plan. I went to go scuba dive and came back with a whole new, I've just decided plan and just took on a 4th incarnation, if you will.
Yeah. Season 4.
Yeah. So, and by the way, in that season, there wasn't a lot of work. I went from grinding 60, 70 hours a week to probably 10 hours a week. Just I'd always have like 4 or 5 properties I'd be fixing up and getting ready for market and stuff like that. By the way, I didn't do anything physically myself. I'm useless. So I just find the deals, have somebody else fix them up. They'd flip them, but I'd ski 100 days a year. I spent a lot of days at the ocean. It was what my mom called, Timothy, when are you going to stop this walking in the woods phase? And it's never stopped. Yeah, but I got more time to think. I got to know myself really well, to just spend a lot of time just with my heart rate elevated, climbing up mountains, thinking about, boy, this is so cool. I want to be doing this all the time. I want to ski all the time. I want to, so I'd start thinking, how can I make sure I spend as much time getting the goods in the woods, spending time with my family, doing all the things that I really wanted to do. And income was the source to keep the party going.
I think the coolest part that I like about that story is that you didn't see the vision of where you wanted to go from where you were until you stepped out. There was a process of stepping out of the space that you were in. Often as men, when we get tied up in the space that we're in and the day to day and the minute to minute, it's hard to really step out and see the other options that are out there on the horizon.
And that is so profound, because we're so, in the trenches, we're in the forest, and we can't step outside of it and take a look at ourselves, see the forest through the trees. And you said something before, I got out of my life. I was in Belize, and kind of really analyzing things from 10,000 foot view, where I have this calm, wise discussion with myself of taking a glimpse at, well, let's try that and see what happens. By the way, no idea GoBundance was, still 13 years coming. 10 One Life was 10 years coming, and I had no idea. I did in around this time frame, I wrote out something called World 3 Wealth Building that was centered on kind of what I had done with my own life, of getting financial freedom, and then there was more depth to it. What good does financial freedom do you if you're not healthy, if you're not have a great mate along the way, if you don't have a great relationship with your kids and friends and family and stuff, if there's not more to it than that. And that was the basis of both GoBundance and One Life Fully Lived. So kind of saw those earlier, but had no idea how they were gonna develop.
So what things happened over the next 10 to 13 years that led you into those organizations? How did you evolve from, awesome, I'm now in this space, I have freedom to go out and explore and get clarity in my mind of why I'm here and enjoy this life? What led to, okay, now I'm going to drop into really serving others?
Yeah, I think that if you asked what's the one thing that made all the difference, was that I did continue my continuing education. I'd spent, I think, somewhere, and I've never tallied it, but I've spent somewhere between 300,000 and $1 million on my continuing education, and coaches and stuff. And probably the best thing I ever went to, I didn't get a damn thing out of that seminar. It was called Money Matters, with a guy named Bob Bolin in Chicago, Illinois, in 2004. And I was just getting ready to go for a run, and I met a guy named Pat Hyben in the elevator. And the next day he introduced me to David Osborne. And when they met me, they were a 2-man mastermind group that texted each other every day and said, I worked 17. Hi, I got you. I worked 18. So they met me. They said, Pat Hyman said, Tim, what do you do? And I said, I ski. He said, what do you mean you ski? That can't be an answer. I said, well, why not? That's what I do. I listed and sold a lot of real estate. I invested wisely. And now I'm trying to see how to turn my ship from living in the Central Valley to move up to the mountains and sell all my properties right into the Cali craze. This was 2004, and I was just getting ready to sell everything to move up here and start a whole new life. So that was the biggest, kind of like all these things coming together, meeting Patrick and David and starting a 3-man mastermind that turned into GoBundance.
Yeah.
That kind of, so that was probably the biggest thing.
Cool.
There's a lot of other data points moving, things that helped me move it from living in the valley, not wanting to be there anymore, trying to not knowing what's gonna, after I sell all the real estate and don't want to invest anymore, where am I going after that? I had no idea. But in our book, The Quitter's Manifesto, quit the job you hate for the work you love.
Yeah.
In that book, we talk about being on a trapeze and letting go of the trapeze to catch the next trapeze. And if you look at my story, there's a whole lot of trapeze flying and letting go and getting quiet and asking and allowing and seeing the next incarnation taking place years before it's gestating, so.
Absolutely. And I was fortunate enough to go through a course that Pat and Tim and some other coaches helped put together through this concept of the Quitter's Manifesto. And I can tell you from my experience of quitting my job a few months ago, it is definitely letting go of the trapeze came first before the evolution of everything else that, the next purpose has ahead of it.
Yeah, it's a little scary and it's daunting, and most choose not to take that. You know what I mean? Most would be the grocery clerk that I was doing. Most would be teaching. You know what I mean? That you've chosen to go into the great wide open to allow your best incarnations are ahead of yourself. And I bet it's scary and exciting at the same time. So
1000%. 1000%. So GoBundance, what year was GoBundance officially founded? When did it start to take off from just being the three of you to being something more?
It actually started as a business venture in around 2013. We came together in 2004. We for years we were they called us the Three Amigos, and we just kind of helped each other grow and do goals and stuff like that. And a lot of the stuff that morphed into GoBundance came between 2004 and 2013. First time we ever got together with others, we got to each bring one friend along on a trip in 2009. And then those friends said, wow, this is so cool. Let's go on an international trip together. So just kind of worked itself out. And then it started as a business in 2013.
Fantastic. And it sounds like as you started to serve people there, that gained traction in your heart and you started the One Life organization.
Yeah, that kind of started on a how can I put it? GoBundance, if you looked at juggling balls, here was one set of balls I was juggling with GoBundance, but One Life actually started around the same time. I started in my mind seeing something wasn't right all along, really, but more it started coming around 2008, 2010. I just felt like what I did, living the American dream, was getting tougher for those just starting out. So
Yeah.
I wanted to have people, anybody who was willing to do the work, could just get the principles to help them dream, plan, and live their best life. So I came up with the concepts around 2010, started a nonprofit in 2011, had the first event in my little town of 2000 in Northern California. And then we've done events, gosh, probably 15 events all over the country. And we've helped thousands dream,
Wow.
plan, and live their best life. So
That's beautiful.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful to leave it that you've made that impact.
Yeah, it really is cool. And let's see if I can find something, one page on here that I think might just show you who we are and what we're about.
Yeah.
So if you look at this triangle right here, we call it the fulfillment triangle, and it's helping people figure out, where do my passions meet my talents, where there's opportunity? Where can I do something I love to do it, I'm darn good at it, and I can make money. Go back to when I said the key fit in the lock, selling real estate.
Right.
It was just such a great feeling to have, operated in that fulfillment triangle. And that's where we want everybody. And then quickly, vision, finances, relationships, and wellness are our core teachings to help people, find their best self moving forward. And that's
really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And anyone that's, regardless of where you are in your personal development journey, it is such a exciting step to take down, or trail to take down, because the difference is a day to day, like we've talked about, when you get caught in the grind, you're constantly doing something for somebody else. And programs like this that Tim's putting together, it allows you to take a step back out and reflect on, okay, what is it that's in my heart that I want to do, that I enjoy, that I feel called towards, that I can make a massive impact.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you said it so many times. Two things. Number one, we're trying to please others and trying to serve others, and going back to who everybody told us we should be. And sometimes that just doesn't fit anymore with where you've come. And that's a lot of the book, The Quitter's Manifesto, speaks to. We have something in there called the soul sucking audit, where you take a look at how much or how little does what I'm currently doing serve me today. And by the way, when I first started real estate, if you would ask me in 2000, like a 27, 29, 31, how do you feel about selling real estate? I love it. If you'd asked me about 38, 39, how do you feel about serving real estate? I'm sick of it. I've had it. It had rusted. The career had oxidized, and I had the courage to fix it. And Thomas, you did too. And so many people just hang on. They won't let go of the wheel. They're still holding on for dear life. And it's scary and it's daunting. So
cool. I love that. And you've mentioned the Quitter's Manifesto, and it sounds like that's really was part of the big points of that book. Talk about the process of that you and Pat took together in writing that, and the goal of that book.
Well, Well, Pat came up with the idea. He hit me up, probably about a year and a half ago. Maybe it's been 2 years now, with this concept of, Tim, we were kind of like the OGs of quitting. We started something that others want to do, but you had the tenacity to go towards. So in GoBundance, there's something called the W2 Mastermind, that want to leave their day job. So we leaned on the people that were in this group, this micro tribe, if you will, of people who are sick of what they're doing and want to move to what's next. We got a lot of stories from others within our tribe, both men and women, who have done what we did, and it just gave a great example for others to follow on their path. So that's what really helped us with the book, is not only is it Pat's and my story, but there were 7 others. We called them quitters like you, to kind of show others how to do it. So
that's cool.
So that was how it all started.
That's cool. So one of the things that you mentioned before we jumped on was your Project Rhode family legacy, and that is something that you're putting a lot of time in and working on, looking ahead down the road of what the legacy is going to look like with your family for the next 4 generations. Talk about what that is and how you're inspired to start it.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me be clear on a few things. I've never been money driven, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And from 25 to 40, for some reason, I worked hard to get financial freedom, and I never knew why. But once I got some time, I figured out it was for one life. It was for GoBundance. So then once I became financially free, just like I never took a book home during high school, once I tapped out with investing, once I sold everything into the Cali craze, I played a new game. I never want to invest myself. I only want to water ski in others' wake. So just until recently, I really didn't care about what my net worth was, whether it was 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. I got friends who want to be billionaires, and that just never served me. So I kind of wanted a new game, if you will. Why are you doing all of this? And it dawned on me about 5 years ago, well, of course, the reason that you're doing all of this is to set up future generations of your family. And somebody had told me that it's like, when I met Tina, my wife, my duty is to have my blood or the Rhode family kind of dominate her family. I don't want that to sound wrong, but I want, like in the genealogy, like once we came together, you want your ideas, if you will, to have it all move forward the way you want it to. Yeah. And I hope this is making sense. So I hired my son, who is 39 years old. He's going to be 40 this year. It's been about a year and a half. He's gone to work for me, helping me make darn sure all we've done investing wise doesn't go for naught. We're not just going to, excuse my language, piss it all away.
Yeah.
We're going to have it go towards not just my 3 kids, but my ex-wife, who had 2 kids, my nieces, I don't have any nephews. Yeah, I do on Tina's side. Anyway, there's 25 people who are going to be involved in the Rhode Family Legacy Trust.
Wow.
When my aunt and uncle died, and I was like 23 years old, I got a check out of the blue for $35,000. it was just so meaningful at that time. And it helped me. I probably bought a property with it and got rid of a piece of crap car that I need. You know what I mean? It just really changed my life. So I figured when Tina or I pass, hopefully 20, 30 years from now, there'll be at least, as of right now, there's 25 people who will benefit from this. And two things: not only are they going to get some money monetarily, we're also going to learn the one life fully lived business of running your life. So there's all these kids who are, 25, 20, 15, 10. I have a granddaughter who was just born, who over the years, they're all going to learn, go back to that fulfillment triangle, where their passions meet their talents, where there's opportunity. So two things. One, all of the family is going to benefit from this while Tina and I are alive. Two, I'm training my son, Chris, who is 39 now, to be the patriarch of the next generation, as well as a board of directors who's going to train all of those who are alive now to learn the drill. And you had said it, 3 generations from now, we want to affect the Rhode family, the Icarta family, the Smith family, the Allegri family, all the families that are involved, the Lowry family, to have their next generation, followed by future generations, will all know that Tina and I lived and that we cared deeply about our family enough to have a trajectory to just move this whole thing forward in an amazing way. I want to say one more thing. I go back to, remember how I said that it was tougher to get the American dream, and that's what pushed me to start One Life Fully Lived and start GoBundance. I think it's only going to get tougher for people. So why wouldn't you train everybody around you how to freaking work it? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what that's all about, Thomas.
I love that. Yeah, that's such a cool concept of, it's one thing to build what you've built for your family, but then to educate and empower them to be able to look within their heart. And you use the word business of running your life and understand the responsibility and joy that comes with that.
Yeah. I think, and I look at some of the youngsters who are just getting out in the world now, and I'm thinking of my nephew Thomas is like 12 years old. He's taller than me. He's like 6'2". He's probably going to be 6'6". And my niece's family in general, I'm thinking of right now, and just the work we can do with them to help them, quote, work it. And I love that thought, work it, because and Thomas, I think you're a lot like me, and I'll bet you a lot of your listeners are. We're not the most beautiful people. We're not the most talented people, but we're freaking gym rats. And we show up every day and we care, and we roll up our sleeves, and we say, how can we be the best individuals and the best fathers we can be? And I love the word patriarch. I think that's a great word.
Yeah, I love that. Cool. Well, Tim, thank you so much for coming on today. What are some ways, if people want to reach out to you or learn more about what you have going on, that they can connect?
Sure. You can reach out to me direct at tim@timrhode.com. Rhode is spelled RHODE. tim@timrhode.com. You can check out our nonprofit, One Life Fully Lived. It's the number 1, onelifefullylived.org. You can read our book. The latest is the Quitter's Manifesto. It's available on Audible and Amazon. And you can check out our book, The Tribal Millionaires, is also Amazon, Audible, and you can check out GoBundance, GoBundance.com, and we have something for everybody. If you're just starting out, if you're, we have a ladies tribe, a guys tribe. So if you want to be a healthy, wealthy, generous individual who chooses to lead epic life, we want you. So.
Love it, dude. And I can
Yeah.
tell you that being a part of the community myself has been absolutely transformative to be able to drop in and connect, whether it's a weekly basis with a pod call of other people, creating an environment where other people are also striving to do great things. It helps move the ball forward. And that's absolutely, you're a product of the people that you're around.
Exactly.
So,
well, thank you so much, Thomas. I appreciate you having me on, man. Hope you all got something out of this. And yeah, please go work it and help America and the world. Just do your thing for yourself, your family, your community, and our generation. So we need you.